All right, time to get down to the second part of the Gloat podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming to you live after the Better Be Evan Bivol fight review I've done in my last video yesterday. A few people have watched it. Good job. If you haven't, well, that's okay. Because this video is going to be anything but Saudi Arabia. Because, like, what else do you want me to say? Well, there's one thing I will say about the heavyweight division. The top 10 fighters are Usyk, Dubois, Caballel, Joseph Parker, and Anthony Joshua. But from 6 to 10 is Tyson Fury, Lawrence Alkali, which, surprisingly, I didn't know he was in the heavyweight until a couple months later, and now I'm shocked that he's here. And even though he's number 7, his next fight is going to be against a guy named Richard Rio Kafour, somebody, whoever he is, other than just a guy that lost his last fight against Chris Bellam Smith for the WBO World Cruiserweight title, and now he's in the heavyweight, ? So that's going to come place in a month or so. Murat Gassiv, why is he still in the top 10? Fabio Wardley and Michael Hunter at number 10. Yeah. Guys, there's not a lot of topics to talk about this. Sort of history, whatever. You think that anything is possible. We'll see what happens in the future, but I don't know, guys. I really don't know. Because, guys, this is what I see here. We have one American, Michael Hunter, Murat Gassiv, who live in America, but he is part Armenian from America. Joseph Parker, New Zealand, Ajit Caballel, Germany, and Usyk, Ukraine, while Dubois, Joshua, Fury, Akali, and Fabio are British. They're 5. It's just ridiculous that we have so many British boxers in the division. I just find it ridiculous. I just don't know what to say. It just makes me feel that there's a lot of problems, that boxing has been tough. Because, guys, a few days ago we had Zhou Zhang and Martin Bakal. As of right now, he's 17 and Bakal is number 15 in BoxRec. But now they used to be in the top 10. They used to be in their top organizations of the WBO and WBA. Why? Because they're not British? Like, Martin Bakal lives in Scotland of the UK, while Zhang is from New Jersey of Bloomfield. If he's still a resident there as of today, we don't know. I just don't know how you can mess up 2 talented boxers from different parts of the country and ruin their careers up. Like, look at Kubrat Pulev. He's number 16 in BoxRec, right in the middle of Bakal and Zhang, and I'd like to say give Bakal a title shot for Pulev. And also, Derek Chisora, he has 49 professional fights, 36 wins, 13 losses, 4 by knockout losses, 23 knockouts. He's saying that he's going to retire in his 50th professional fight this year, and we don't know what his last fight's going to be. I would rather want him to take on Kubrat Pulev. The thing about Chisora is that his career is so out of craziness. Like, he was the next guy that was going to take on a tough fighter in the future. He loses against Tyson Fury when he was going to take on Klitschko for a year or so. Then he wins against a nobody, loses against Robert Helenius in December that same year. Then 2 months later in February, he loses against Vitaly Klitschko. And then 5 months later, he loses against David Haye. 4 straight losses in the span from July 23rd, 2011 with the Fury fight 1 and David Haye in July 14th. 4 losses. That's ridiculous. Then he had to come back from start to finish, defeat Malik Scott, the bum waste of time fighter in 2013, then just come out with other multiple wins with Kevin Johnson before he was a jobber, lose against Tyson Fury again in November of 2014, wins some fights against nobodies, only to take on Kubrat Pulev and lose by split decision in Germany. And then he loses against Dillian White months later in December that same year by split decision. Then loses against Agat Kabayel a year later in November in Poland by majority decision for the EBU European Heavyweight title, just like Pulev. And the Dillian White was the WBC International title, and the Vitaly Klitschko, the blah, 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 blah. Yeah, my point is, he just had nothing left in his career. And then he puts in a hard fight against Alexander Usyk in October of 2020, loses. He loses 2 of his fights in 2021 against Parker by split decision, unanimous decision. But then, a year by July, he wins a rematch against Pulev, then gets a second title shot 10 years after, well, under 11 years, over 10 years after his Vitaly Klitschko fight, only to lose against Fury in a title match. By 2023, he only has 1 fight against Gerard Washington, bummed fight, even though Chisora got cut due to a head clash and how close that fight ended with the bummed fighter like Washington, only to defeat Joe Joyce in July last year, and then defeats Otto Wallin in February, like barely a few weeks ago. And at this moment, I'm like, how the heck is he still in the top ranks defeating these fighters even when he's lost 13 straight times? It's ridiculous, and it makes me feel how. At this moment, I'm like, might as well have a trilogy match with Kubrat Pulev. Like, he's a WBA World Heavyweight Champion. If you want to have your last fight in career, you might as well have a third and final title shot. If you lose against if you lose against Pulev, well, hey, at least you had a good trilogy match. You guys had 2 fights, ended in split decision. He won and you won, and we'll see who wins the third and final fight for the heck of it. You guys are in your 40s, past your prime, so hey, make it an end trilogy fight. Like, that is my goal. I think that should be possible. Like, yes, Derek Chisora is rated. Like, Derek Chisora is rated number 9 in the IBF, and he's also rated number 8 in the WBO. But he's not rated in the WBA or WBC. But I still want to see that. I still want to see a trilogy with him and Pulev just to see who gets the victory at the end, because both guys are not in their game plans anymore. But it's still an entertaining fight if we want to see it, even for a title shot. So why not? Why not? You waiter. So guys, here's the information about BoxRec, and I'm going to put a little bit of a screenshot here just to give you people the information on what you're looking at here, because this on boxingscene.com, guys, as we're here, and as of right now, because as we're looking at it, so guys, the WBA already put their last ranking on February the 1st, and even though I'm sure they're going to update their rankings again as of today while this video is being uploaded on March the 1st, because they always update their rankings on the first day of the first week of every month. So, but as of the first week of February, and on February the 7th, the IBF rankings were already updated, and then a day later, the WBC rankings were updated on February the 8th, and the WBO were on February the 26th, days after Saudi Arabia. So keep that in mind of what the rankings are and what they're going to be in the next weeks, depending on when the updates are going to come in. So this is what we got. So the IBF rankings only have... So guys, WBC and the IBF have number 1 not rated. No one is rated in any of the top 1 at WBC and IBF. And even the IBF still has problems of rating their fighters at who's going to be number 1, who's going to be number 2. It happens in all divisions from cruiserweight to super middleweight, junior middleweight, welterweight. You guys can see the picture. I'm not going to scroll down. But this has nothing to do with the weight classes other than just a heavyweight. But yeah, you get the point. You get the point. So technically, what we have here, we have Martin Bakal, that's number 3 in the IBF. Frank Sanchez at number 4. Joseph Parker's at number 5, but of course, after that win with Bakali, so he's going to be rated in a higher. I hope he's at. Yet again, he's already out of the rankings from this one because he's already the WBO interim champion. So technically, he's already gone from this as right now. So he's not going to be involved with it because even Agit Kabayel is not in the rank as much, other than being the WBA ranking. But this, like I said before, he already won the WBC ranking as a few days ago on last Saturday. So he's going to be gone from this ranking right now, and he'll be gone as well with the other rankings as well. So, yeah, nothing much, if it makes sense. So, pretty much, they're gone. Just to point that out. So by the next week rankings, Joseph Parker and Agit Kabayel and all their rankings that they're together in these rankings are going to be gone. So just keep that in mind. So as here we go, we have F.A. Ajagba at number 6, Anthony Joshua at number 7, which is fair, and Filip Hrgović, which he does deserve to be in it because he was already robbed after that horrible best out 5 bullcrap with Frank Warren and the Eddie Hearn battle in June the 1st last year, and how they gave Daniel Dubois the belt because even though it was an interim belt, then weeks later Usyk gave him the belt even though he didn't win in the ring, and it just screwed Filip Hrgović up because it was retarded. It was something I still regret to this very day. So hope we still give him another chance at a title shot. He deserves better. He didn't deserve that crap. And then Derek Chisora, as said, he's at number 9 in the IBF. Justice Hooney, shockingly enough, for reasons how he's here, he's number 10 with Fabio Warby at number 11. Valine is at number 12, but I don't know he's going to be in the rankings for long after his Chisora loss. Moses Atama is at number 13 with Jared Anderson at number 14, and Peter Kadiru is at number 15. Now, I'll take information about this fighter in the future just to let you viewers know about him, just why he's in the rankings. Now, Fabio Wardley is at number 1 in the WBA with Martin Bakal at number 2, which he's always been to the top spot for a long damn time. And this is how his life is screwed up because of this. Man, they sure screwed up talent just because British boxers deserve title shots and these other people from other countries don't. That is just so disrespect there. Michael Hunter's at number 3. Lanier Peru still at number 4 with Moses Atama at 5. And yeah, Kabayel out. Mahmoud Achar's at number 7. And Joey Zhang's at number 8. Hrgović is at 9. Murat Gassi is at number 10. Johnny Fisher, 11. Jarrell Miller at number 12. He's been in the WBA rankings for a while. Now, Daniel Perro and Deontay Pettigrew, I have talked about them in some videos, but I will repeat it to them later in this video. Luis Ortiz at number 15. Well, who knows? And WBC ranking has this. So Zhang was at number 2. Lawrence Okali's at 3. Bakal 4. Man. Joshua at 5. Fabio Wardley at 6. Jagba 7. Frank Sanchez at 8. And Bekir Jalilov at number 9 is going to be interesting if he is going to be in the pros fully this year, because at this moment, his gold medal win in 2024 in the Olympic Games was like, okay, just go to the heavyweight. Otto Valine's at number 10 with Hrgović at 11 and Hooney at 12. And I'm even shocked of where he's rated at the WBO. Morad Aliyev from France, he's number 13 with Deontay Wilder at 14 and Ruiz 15. It's ridiculous that some years ago, these two were going to face to fight each other in some years ago, but that fight never happened. And from 2022, they were rated right on top of here, and now they're down here. It's just ridiculous of what boxing is. It just puts a lot of surprising stuff, and it's ridiculous, just to say the least. But WBO puts in a lot of ridiculousness, like Justice Hooney at number 1, Moses Atama at 2, Wardley 3, Zhang 4, Okali 5, Anderson 6, Joshua 7, 8, Chisora, Ajagba 9, Jermaine Franklin, I don't know if he's even still going to be in a big-time push. in as being the number 10, I don't know where he's going to be. Gassiv at number 11, and Nelson Heiss at 12. We'll get to him some other time. Johnny Fisher, 13. Valine, 14. And Guido Vianello at 15. At this moment, there's a lot of problems with this. And as for the rankings, I am going to talk about this a little bit more and to understand more about this as time goes on, because this puts a lot of confusion for some of us. Because it does bring me to a hard conclusion here, because I look at this as a problem. Because Martin Bacall was rated number 3 in the world. And as of today, now I've heard that he's now being stripped away from the IBF because of his loss against... I don't know what to say. It's so tough. But yet again, I don't think it even matters anymore, because this is the way life goes. If you had a chance, you had a chance. You don't, you don't. Here's the thing. So guys, let's talk about the fighters that we don't know much about. Peter Kadiru, number 15 in the IBF. Does he have anything, or is he just a hype job person that someone put him on the rankings just like in the old days? Well, Peter Kadiru is in Germany. He's 27 years old. He's rated number 48 in BoxRec, and he's had some wins against nobodies. He did defeat Juan Torres. When I later realized, I thought this was the same guy that might have been with Zhou Zhang, but not really. So I try to look at this information as close as I can before, but yet again, I couldn't find information. So it might be someone else other than Juan. He had other fights with WBC Youth World Heavyweight Champion, DBD champs and such back in Germany. Then he lost in first round by KO against a guy with 23 wins and 11 losses named Marcus Antonio Almada from Argentina. And his career is just a bummed waste of time. And for reasons why. He lost in first round KO in 56 seconds against a bummed fighter that I don't get it. Then he wins the IBF Intercontinental Heavyweight title in March of 2024. Then retains it in September against Diajor El Skich, a 22-0-1 fighter that became a bum fighter in Germany. Now he's rated in top 15? Well, I guess, but after that first round knockout in 2022, why keep him back again? Why? I just don't see the point of him in the rankings. But yeah, again, as an IBF champion, I guess, but someone should just take that away from him or just give him a bigger fighter. He did have that win in September, but yeah, again, that was just a bum German fighter that just had a bummed out record. Daner Piro, number 13, the WBA. His record stands with 10 wins, 8 knockouts. He's from Miami, Florida, of Cuba, and rated number 72 in the heavyweight of BoxRec, but 4 in Cuba. And his record does persist some interesting wins against nobodies. He did took on a journeyman of Joe Jones. That used to be a good fight, but now he's a bummed out fighter, but picked up a good win last year ago. Had an interesting journeyman win against a guy named Willie Jake Jr. But yet again, after that, and a win a couple months later, who knows what his next fight's going to be in April as we speak. Oh, and by the way, guys, speaking about Martin Bacall. So, guys, when I said about Martin Bacall being ranked at number 3 in the IBF, it's so ridiculous that someone named Dan Raphael went on news reports not long ago stating after getting KO'd by Parker on Saturday, Martin Bacall is ineligible for the May 2nd IBF heavyweight title eliminator as he was set for against F.A. Ajagba. Bacall is out of the eliminator, and IBF spokesperson said, "We will move on to the next leading available contender." It just goes to show you, it's just so bad just seeing that. It's just, Zhou Zhang and Martin Bacall were waiting for their opportunities, and all people were doing was ducking, screwing these fighters up, and they just... They were just waiting until they got older and fatter, and that was it. It still upsets me to this day. It upsets me so much that you have these fighters putting their bodies on the line, and it's like, how could you do that? They became interim champion. Zhang was interim champion in 2023. Finally got some hook on. Maybe you should give him a chance for Olympian like Alexander Usyk. But no, he just takes on another British fighter of Daniel Dubois. Bum fight. It was a knockout win for Usyk, and now a year later he wants to fight him again. It's a waste of time, and now the only title fights we get to see with Dubois is he gets an interim title, defeats Hrgovic, and it's like, oh, if Hrgovic won, Usyk is not going to give him the belt unless if you're British. So they gave it to Dubois because he was British. Then he gets a title shot against AJ because he's British. He gets a title shot with Parker, but then he gets ill because he's not British. Neither Bakali or Zhang. What am I supposed to say? It's so bad to see this amount of incompetence running us off. It just creates us in the back burner of so much of this problem because it's just so ridiculous that people are just not getting the paybacks as they are. And I don't know what to say. It's just such a bum thing. And speaking about something bummed out, number 14th ranked boxer in the WBA, Deontay Pettigrew, ranked number 14. He is from Illinois, Chicago, Illinois. He's 35 years old. He's boxed for several years since June of 2021. He's had 14 professional fights, 14-0, undefeated with 10 knockouts. He did have a 2-0 victory in his third professional fight against an undefeated fighter. Got 4 rounds with him, and there was a good fight there. And then 5 fights later in October of 2022, he takes on Terrell Jamel Woods, a guy that's lost a lot of fights but has given tough fights against some players. And he's a decent journeyman type fighter that he is going to give you a hard time. You just have to see if you have to beat him by knockout, which he didn't, but he won. And then he fights against Devin Vargas, that guy that used to be a good top contender. And in April and July of 2023, Dante took care of him. And by the end of the year, he takes on bummed out fighters. But he did win the WBC Fekar Box heavyweight title against a guy that's 20-3 named Honoriod Ihuarian? Question mark? I don't know how to pronounce his name because he's from the country of Nigeria. And he's rated number 356 in BoxRec. Makes sense. And Deontay defeated him in round 3 by KO to win the belt. Well, he got something big there last year ago. And then in November, he gets a second round knockout against another journeyman. So, I guess the WBC belt, him winning, does give him a chance to make it. Barely. Even though he's still champion right now, but it's ridiculous that he's rated in the WBA, but he's not rated in the WBC. Makes you question. I just don't know how you can rate someone in that division of the WBA while he's only became a WBC champion, and he still is WBC champion. I don't know. I'm questioning a lot of factor problems here. It really does give me confusion. So, guys, let's talk about rank number 15 in the WBO, known as Guido Vianello, which I think that's an Italian name. That has to be an Italian person. The Gladiator. Interesting nickname. And he is from Italy, living in Las Vegas, Nevada. So this guy, the Gladiator, has 13 wins, 11 knockouts. Not bad, with 1 draw and 2 losses. And he did have some interesting fights in his career. He did took on Donald Hainsworth, a guy that was fixing the fight, helping out the Australian fighter, which he's now bum. He did defeat Colby Madison in 2019, several months before Donald Hainsworth, and Cassius Anderson, a somewhat of a uncontender type person. Kingsley Ibe, another guy that ended a majority draw in October 2020. And he lost against Jonathan Rice, a guy with 15 wins, 6 losses, 1 draw. But even though he was dominating Jonathan Rice after the 6th round, it stated that after the 6th round, Vianello had a cut in from a punch in the 6th round, which caused the doctor to stop the fight, even in round 7, giving Jonathan Rice the win, even though the judges' scorecards were 58 to 56, 59 to 55, and 59 to 59, favoring Guido the win. But they didn't have a technical scorecard, so Jonathan Rice won the fight because of that injury from a punch to cut Vianello's eye, giving him his first loss, even though he was winning that fight easily. But it didn't stop him. By 2023, he takes on Curtis Harper, the guy that walked out of the fight during the Ajagba fight, but he was a journeyman fight. And then Moses Johnson, an interesting fight in Madison Square Garden, only to lose in a 10-round split decision for the WBC silver heavyweight title against F.A. Ajagba in April last year ago. He did defeat Arslanbek Makhmudov in August in Canada. Now he's taking on Richard Torres Jr. in April the 5th in Palms Casino. So I don't think Guido is that much of a contending type person, even though he is in the Bob Arum top rank. So if he does get an upset victory against Richard Torres, I don't say that he is going to be a heavyweight contender, but if someone gives him a cherry pick fight one day and they'll give him a bummed fight, then who knows? He might get lucky, but I don't think Guido is going to be in the contender shot. Like, he's lost 2 fights already, even though they were close fights. One was an unlucky punch that ended his fight with one guy and lost a split decision. But at least Guido is a tough fighter. He is 30 years old, so I can't say he's a bum fighter. He's just an unlucky person that lost 2 unlucky fights that he should have won, and that's the way life goes. You can't win everything. But I don't think he's a bummed out fighter. He's just unlucky. And the last person I'm going to talk about in the rankings before we get to the second last topic or third last topic is Nelson Heisa. Now, Nelson Heisa is 40 years old. 20 wins, 18 knockouts, ranked number 26 in BoxRec from the country of Albania. This guy debuted back in May 14th, 2022 at the age of 37 against a 20-year-old dude also in his debut, picks up the win, and out of nowhere, he picks up more wins in 2022 against nobody fighters. A couple journeyman fighters, like he did defeat Danny Williams in his fifth professional fight when that guy was already past his prime as a bummed out jobber. And Muhammad Ali Dermaz, a guy that looks like an Ali, but just from Germany. Pavel Sauer, Vicapita Merero for the UBO International Heavyweight title, which he did win in March of 2023. He was winning multiple fights against a bunch of nobody fighters, journeyman opponents that didn't deserve to be in the ring. He did defeat Marcus Antonio Almada, the guy that went that first round KO against Peter Kadiri. Well, Nelson defeated him in round 3 by cornerman retirement. And then won the WBC CIS BB heavyweight title in September against a first round knockout against someone. Only to defeat other fighters against nobody fighters. And by 2023, he was already just winning fights after fights. He won the WBF Intercontinental Heavyweight title against Luis Jose Marin Garcia in December 2023. Retains the title, and then takes on an undefeated 11-0 fighter in April against a guy that, when I looked at his record from the country of Colombia, his record is so lousy. He took on all his first 7 fights were against fighters that had 0 losses, with over 4 of them that had 2 losses, 1 that had 3 losses, 1 that had 5, and 1 that had 8 losses. All of them had 0 wins. It's ridiculous. And takes on some journeyman fighters that he barely won, only to lose against Nelson, and it's just so ridiculous. And then he takes on an undefeated Jason Troncoso, a 12-0 undefeated guy from the country of Colombia as well, and his record similar, just debut fighters and nobodies. And he lost against Nelson in round 3 by KO for the IBO International Heavyweight title. And to make things hilarious, he fights for the WBO European Heavyweight Vacant title in July, a month later after his IBO, to go first round against a 13-1 fighter that became a bum fighter. Goes to the UK in November, wins against another guy with 13 wins and 11 losses, goes round 2 KO for him. And then in February the 15th, like 12 days ago, he takes on a 12-0 guy named Tadorshi Trevtakov for the WBO European Heavyweight title on the line by him, retaining it, and wins by round 3 TKO. And that guy was from Macedonia, which is the country that I don't know much about, but yeah, his record 20-0. He's 40 years old now, and at this moment, I can just say good luck if he's gonna get a chance to fight for a WBA heavyweight title against Kurapoev. And if he wins, hey, I'll give him credit. He did what he had to do. He was winning titles from other divisions. Like, he won. Like, this guy, 40 years old, won a WBC belt, a WBF, IBO, and a WBO minor weight titles, and it took him that long to. He starts his 2022, won the WBC CIS BBB title in September 2023, 1 full year after he debuted, fights in other fights, and it's like this was like a hype job record. He's a hype job, and I'm surprised that he's actually winning titles considering how his bum fighters he's fighting against. It's unbelievable. And he's number 26 in BoxRec, and it makes sense for him being number 12 in the WBO, but yet again, that's just borderline crazy. It's just unbelievable of what boxers are doing to get themselves in the ranks for doing stuff like that. It's just hilarious. So guys, here's another topic I will like to talk about, and that is Umut Kamkiran from the country of Turkey. As of right now, in February the 21st, he actually retained his WBC Asian heavyweight title against a 34-7 fighter named Tariel Jafarov after knocking him down in the second round in 45 seconds, and then seconds later in the first minute of the second round, he knocks him out twice, and then referee stops the fight in the midway point after the second round to retain his belt for 23 wins and 21 knockouts, which comes to the conclusion, because of that, should he be rated in the WBC for that? Now, he's 36 years old, and he has boxed a lot since 2013 to 2025. And even though he's number 39 in the heavyweight of BoxRec right now, who knows? Like, I do want to give him a little bit of an interesting fight, but he has to understand that his promoter, Serdar Afsi, and Bero Topaz, also his manager agent, they have no chance of helping Umut get nowhere unless if he doesn't sign with a big promoter. And if so, they're already going to think he's a bum fighter because he's an overweight dude. He was 286 pounds into that fight he fought last week ago. So it begs the question if he's ready. Now, as I said before, he did win the UBF European Heavyweight title in his fourth professional fight in 2015, and then became WBC Mediterranean in 2017, the EBU external title in 2019, and then in 2023 to 2025, he came out of nowhere, winning the Asian Continental title, only to win the WBC CISBB heavyweight title several months later, and barely squeaked out a unanimous decision win, defeats an undefeated dude in September, and then fights for the WBC Asia heavyweight title. He's won 3 WBC titles since 2023, 2024, and 2025, and he was already a Mediterranean in 2017. Like, he's won not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. He's won 6 titles, and 4 of them are WBC belts, and he's not rated in the top 15, even though the rankings were last updated on February the 8th, so we'll see what happens next week if they put him in the top 15. But if they don't, what's the point of him even being in boxing in the first place if he's winning these minor weight titles one after another, but doesn't get ranked in the top 15? I'm not saying that Yuma Kumkiran is a top-rated fighter, which he's not. He is 36 years old, but from what I'm looking at, yes, he's taking on fighters that are past their prime, not much tougher than him, but he does deserve to be part of the spotlight. Like, he did earn his way to win these titles, but I think he has to understand that he has to go somewhere else, and he has to take more of his body weight away from him. Like, he's 6 feet tall, he looks like a baked potato, and like what happened to Martin Bacall last week, you have to understand, it does question if he has what it takes, but, and guys, I don't want to be on rant mode here, I don't, it's just, I don't want to, like, does he deserve to be in the rankings? Well, in the top 50 rankings of BoxRec, yeah. Does he have a chance to beat any of these people in the BoxRec rankings? Well, that only depends if he has what it takes to take care of Zhou Zhang, if he has the smart guts like Agate Caballero did, but who's going to pay money to watch him take on a fighter like that? Unless if it's a cherry-pick opponent, like how Josh Padley took over to fight Shakur Stevenson. Like, hey, dude, if someone like this ever happens again, where we had Joseph Parker take on Daniel Dubois, and then suddenly Dubois gets ill again, hurt, someone could say, hey, we can have this Yuma Kumkiran to be your pick opponent, cherry-pick opponent, and you can actually beat him easily. That could be possible for Yumat in the future, and it is possible. But who knows? Because I still question if anything can go on than just saying to myself, hey, maybe we can try to close something here, because at the end of the day, I do want to see other fighters in the rankings, like Murad Aliyev. He's number 13 in the ranks, but yet again, I do want to see other stuff other than him and other fighters to try to rank themselves in boxing. And even though Justice Hooney is now number 1 in the WBO rankings, and I can't say much about that ever since his last win was in January last month and a half ago, almost 2 months. So, and he's still holding on to winning his IBF and WBO titles, so he's still holding this prestige in him. So, but at the end of the day, I do want to see more to it. So, guys, I've also heard a report that Huggy Fury, Fury's brother, is going to fight again in April the 4th. Against who? Who knows? Who knows? And technically, I don't want to know if any of this is going to work out for any boxer in the future, because I still am curious to find out. But yet again, I don't want to get into all these stuff, ladies and gentlemen, just yet, because even though Dillian White did say he's going to take on Joe Joyce in April the 5th in Co-op Live Arena in Manchester, so I don't know much about that fight, and other fights that are going to happen, well, I don't know, but all I can say is whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And that's all I have to say about this. All right, guys. I'm going to make this a separate video, but yet again, I don't know what to say about this one. Guys, I don't want to talk about this topic as much. I don't, but guys, every time I go online and I look at how many likes I get on my videos, because, guys, it's so hard for me. Guys, people have to understand that it's so hard for me to put pressure on making videos online, and I just want to get this out of my system because there's going to be other things I'll talk about in the future, because I'm just thinking to myself, guys, whatever happened in the past is happened in the past, because at the end of the day, guys, I put my body on the line to not do YouTube. And guys, I've said this, I don't want to do YouTube forever. I don't want to do YouTube forever. Because, guys, like I said before, I want to be a NASCAR driver or a professional boxer, wrestler. And I'm a person that doesn't like living a boring life or even lives a life of taking care of children 24/7 because it's just not my field of vision because having a life is just so tough that living alone, and people have to understand that I think people are forgetting that me and my family have been having tough lives, and I wish people can understand. Like, my father's sister once got pregnant when she married a gay guy and didn't realize it, and she once got pregnant, and for some reason her husband, ex-husband, one of her four husbands that she'll regret marrying for the rest of her life, decided to take her hiking on a mountain trail, and she fell and the baby died when she was not even couldn't give birth to it. And that was a waste of time, and it cost her life and messed her mind up forever. And my father, he always has a confusing life because he always has problem. People always have to understand that my father always had problems in life. And my mother always had a bad temper because she lives with a family where her mother is like Lord Sidious, the dark of Palpatine, like Lord Sidious from Star Wars, and she's like that Lord Plagueis that's transverting into a devilish monster. And it's her family are a bunch of smokers, and my mother always had problems because she always had anger issues with us. And she always takes on me and my brother, and that's how my brother and I and my father, because we always had anger issues in life, which is also the reason why I always have anger in real life in the internet world because of my mother. And I wish people can understand that. And I've talked about this story a bunch of times, but people online don't care about what I say. They just like to treat me like crap and just say it's my fault that my brother had problems, and people are saying, man, I just hope your brother can help you out. People don't understand that my brother had a psychotic break and a problem, and he even had problems being an old guy in his mid 30s, not even married and living a life, and he's just living home alone in his own place. He used to live in a different house far away from where we were, and now he had to spend rest of the days of months for us living in his house because he had a problem, so he had to live with us for a full year, and we were suffering so bad, and he had problems. I even had so much videos, and people don't even care. I was even trying to send out help online and other people, and people weren't even paying attention to the circumstances, what people were doing. And I don't know why people are now finally giving hate to me in the world, because it makes me more vicious and angry when people ignore me. And I think that's the reason why mass shooters and massacres happen, because when people online start pissing people off and they don't listen to what I'm saying and they just like to blame me for everything happen, it just makes you want to take a gun and blow someone's head off and pops a cap in your ass because it's your fault that you people are doing this. So I always had those problems, and because people just like to ignore me. People have to understand, because when people dislike my videos on YouTube, I don't know why people aren't telling me. And when people tell me, it's just the same information that I kept repeating online. Like, why does people not just forget about what happened in the past and just move on to the future? I don't know why people do this, and I'm putting out so much reasons because I'm explaining this so much. Because at the end of the day, it's so tough for me that I'm putting so much content on my videos. But guys, the thing is, I've been trying to put other videos on YouTube and other YouTube channels I have, and for some reason, YouTube just can't do nothing. It's like every time I try to contact YouTube or put a message on YouTube or tell them anything what to do, they just ignore me. And I don't know why people do that. And to this day, it just gives me problems because people are just not giving me any specific information of whatsoever. And it just really doesn't make sense. I'm just like, how am I supposed to have people like my videos and then I'll have more subscribers like Mr. Beast? Like, dude, there's so many viewers online for Mr. Beast that Mr. Beast isn't getting any hate on YouTube. And the way he does, he still gets a lot of subscribers. So I just don't understand. Because guys, if I'm trying to get 1 million subscribers, why would you people still want to dislike my videos? I'm making every single video, but I can't edit popular videos like Mr. Beast because he has so many friends and so many backing supporters and people editing his videos that I don't have nothing. So I don't know why people are trying to throw so much stuff at me because it's like no matter what they do, and when you people call the police on me, it just makes me more of a dangerous person because I don't know why you people are trying to fuck with my life. Because I'll never have a life if you people are pushing me. I can't find beautiful ladies in the state of Maine because the state of Maine is so retarded. It's just a bunch of drug dealers and females having drugs and alcohol, and they're just fucked up with smokes. I can't live here forever, and I don't know why people are ignoring me for this. And for what reason, guys, can you just try to give me a chance to be a new person in the future? Because I don't know why you people do this. And if you people ever make other comments about this, I'm just going to keep making more videos and upload more until you people watch my content because I'm not stopping. So try to understand I'm pushing my luck as best I can. Not for the fame, but for trying to get out of Maine because there's no beauty. And that's final. Okay. So with all that going out of my system, guys, let's just try to get these last couple things to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. With only about 14 minutes left until I'm at the hour mark. So, guys, I'm just going to talk about just a couple more things right now. Because at this moment, I'm already done with the heavyweight right now. So, let's just talk about what's going to be in the light heavyweight. So, guys, the light heavyweight, ladies and gentlemen, has Dimitri Bivol at number 1, David Benavidez at number 2, Artur Beterbiev at number 3. Now, David Benavidez already knows that there's just no chance of even waiting for this opportunity. Like, these guys are just going to take breaks. They're going to wait until the fall, and Benavidez might take on maybe Callum Smith or probably a rematch with David Morrell, which that would be another interesting fight because Morrell did a crazy moment in the final rounds of his fight. I don't know. I'm a little bit just guys when watching this back and guys, I find a lot of interesting stuff here, but David Benavidez already knows that he has to wait another full year until something big happens. He might never even give a title shot in light heavyweight, maybe until 2027. So is it possible for him to go back to super middleweight? Well, cruiserweight might be close for him. I just don't see Benavidez being in the heavyweight. But who knows? Who knows? Like, I'm just trying to give some advice to David Benavidez saying, look, you're still a young kid. You're 28 years old, 30 and 0. I just don't want to see his career go downhill if he makes one big mistake and that's the end of his boxing career. But if that happens, it happens. It is what it is. Sorry, I'm just trying to get used to this sore throat problem because I'm talking too much, so I'm putting a mint because of it, but still doesn't help. But yeah, I'm just saying that David Benavidez should try to take it easy, and I think just try to wait for something to happen. Because as for Joshua Buatsi and the Callum Smith incident last week, um, boxing has been in an interesting changing turn of a pace in the light heavyweight ever since Benavidez's win. And guys, speaking about Undisputed has already brought a little bit of a surprising win here because ever since then, it's really surprising that Dimitri Bivol wins back his title and Beterbiev's 10th title defense is a fail. You see how many great boxers have ever lost their world title in their 10th title defense. It's such a huge discrepancy. It's a bum way, but yet again, it is what it is. But yet again, I really can't say much about it. Like, it is what it is. But surprisingly, man, it was hard for me to get used to thinking about making the podcast yesterday, but it's crazy. It's just freaking crazy. And as for the cruiserweight division, we're trying to find out who is going to be in the next build up for that. But as for the super middleweight, Canelo Alvarez will be facing to take on William Skull on May the 3rd in Saudi Arabia. Canelo Alvarez's 20th year in the pros of boxing, when he gets a 23-0, 9 knockout William Skull. As William Skull has been in a lot of moments in boxing that hasn't given him a chance. As a South American super middleweight champion and a IBO international super middleweight champion and an IBF Latino super middleweight champion 2020 and 2021, or 2021 all. And even though his win against Evgeny Shevchenko in July of 2022 was his good big win, that also gave him a chance to make it to the top. And then he took on a couple nobody fighters in November of 2022 and then October a year later. And then in May the 4th, he goes to the USA in an 8-round fight, knocks down his opponent, Sean Hamphill, and gets the wins by all 3 scorecards, which were still, he had to earn it, only to take on 16-0 Vladimir Shisinskin for the IBF vacant world super middleweight title. And he won by close disparity. Close. I just see that the thing about it is that ever since his win in October the 19th, several months ago in Germany, I wouldn't say that William Skull is a great fighter. Like, he did earn the win for what he had to do. He had to do what he had to do. And even though I guess there's not a lot of competition for Canelo Alvarez because he's backing out fighters, so people are like, well, come on, William Skull might be an easy fighter. But yet again, I am looking at Canelo Alvarez as a guy that's been boxed for 20 years in the pros against this 32-year-old Cuban living in Germany. Canelo's 34 years old. He'll be turned 35 after his October, where might be his 20th anniversary since he debuted in the company in October 29, 2005 in his first pro debut. So, and I did say that maybe Canelo might want to call it quits after 2025 if he does have a fight, if he does defeat William Skull, and then in September, if he does get injured or something bad happens, it's probably for the best to just hang it up. Like, Canelo Alvarez achieved good success when he did back in 2020 or even in 2019 as well, and earned surprising victories. And then in 2020, he defeats Callum Smith, gets Envy Yildirim, that's now becoming out a promising fighter that failed, surprisingly, defeats Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant to become undisputed champion in less than a year. And even though his loss against Bivol wasn't much, and even though even though Gennady and John Ryder fights weren't much, and his Jermell Charlo fight, well, can't say much about it. And even though I really couldn't say much about those fights, like his Jaime Munguia and Edgar Berlanga fight last year, fights were interesting, and he's not much of a knockout person anymore, even after he lost against Bivol and everything else. But yet again, he did achieve surprising success of still boxing. So who knows? And I do see William Skull could put out an upset victory here, maybe defeat former undisputed champ and then win it back. So it could be possible that he could bring out an upset victory here. We just have to wait and see. From middleweight to super welterweight, lightweight, super lightweight, featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight. The minimum weight division is one division I do want to talk about, second to last. And the last topic I do want to talk about is the women's autumn weight. But here's why I want to know. So, guys, Yudai Shigeoka, the Shigeoka brothers that became failures, they've lost their fight. They lost their first fights, lost champs in 2024, similar to their first Japanese heavyweight fighter that's now become another bummed fight of a promising star that failed. And it does upset me a lot, and I really do get headaches every day. And now Udai is fighting against Melvin Jerusalem for the WBC World Minimum Champion on March the 30th in his country in the Tokyo Dome for the WBC title. What's really interesting about this is that a forgotten fighter named Pedro Tandran, a guy with 17 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, is also the IBF minimum weight champion in the same country of Philippines, just like Melvin Jerusalem. The thing is, I do want to see if there's anyone that can cooperate with those titles because Oscar Collazo, this short 5'2" southpaw fighter, 11-0, 8 knockouts, is now a WBO and WBA unified champion against after his November win in the mini Rumble in the Jungle, I called in November, against Nam Chong, CP Freshmart. I do see something that he might take the boxing world by surprise if he does defeat Shigeoka or Jerusalem. Like, he did defeat Jerusalem once, but I think people want to see him take on Japanese fighter Yudai Shigeoka if he does win in March the 30th, or even take on Pedro Tandran to fight and unify that IBF belt and then fight for undisputed minimum weight, because we have never got an undisputed minimum weight in the male of boxing, and some of the lower divisions of light flyweight and other divisions are so tough that there's a lot of Asians out there boxing, but they don't want to fight each other for other belts. So it does play a problem. But when you have an American in boxing fighting for this, it brings in a lot of surprising thoughts that they're going to put money on your bank to let them unify these titles. And it is possible that that's what happen if Collazo does stay alive. And I do see him making it to a undisputed minimum weight champion and making it big. In 11 professional fights, he's done good. Can he do better? Who knows? And as for the women's minimum weight title, I can't say much about it other than I'm still looking at it as there's still not a lot of great competition. And even though I am interested on trying to find out what's going to happen, because as of right now, female boxer Tenkai Tsunami, 32 and 13 and 1 fighter at 46 bouts, 40 years old, she's going to fight for... She's now going to leave the minimum weight division and fight against someone from Argentina for the IBF and WBO light flyweight title. So I wish her best of luck if she does win back those titles, even though her loss against Estrada in 2021 wasn't that special. But yet again, I do want to see something interesting. Like, interesting. I really don't know what to say about it, like world flyweight title and such, but yet again, there's nothing much of competition here in the division of female boxing, but yet again, you'll never know. But the atomweight division does bring in a surprising fact, because as of right now, guys, we just got report that Tina Ruperchet will be back in Germany, in her country, on April the 5th to take on Samiri Yamanaka, an 8-0, 5 knockout, 3 knockout fighter with the IBF atomweight title around her strap. She has to fight Tina Ruperchet for her WBC, WBO, and WBA title in her backyard again. Which makes you wonder, are the Japanese boxers a female? Because, guys, Japanese females do put in a lot of success as best they could, but they never unify titles as much in boxing in their divisions. So it makes you wonder... Like, yes, Iri Matsuda did that, and she failed last November, even though the fight was close on, but that knockout in the first round did cost her a problem in that fight, so who knows that if Samir Yamanaka can do better. The thing is, Tina Ruperchet is 32 years old, and Samir Yamanaka is 23 years old, even though as of April the 5th, who we will see her as 23 years old. And even though Yamanaka is a southpaw fighter and Tina is a orthodox, 4'9" Yamanaka and a 5' Tina Rupachet, and we are going to see if there's something interesting about this one, because I've been trying to study the fight plans of these fighters, and we don't know if something's going to happen here. Is Samira Yamanaka going to get to the Japanese division of female boxing to make an upset victory against Germany for Tina Rupachet? Because who knows? I do want to see something surprising here happen. It's great that they're unifying the titles for Undisputed, but it just seems like Tina Rupachet just won the battle before they got in the fight, and she's about to win the war because it's in her backyard of Germany. So that does play a fact problem into this, because she's won a bunch of fights. She's only fought in Germany a bunch of times, went to America and got dominated by Senicia Estrada in 2023. And by 2024, she wins her 2 fights to win unified atomweight title, and now she's doing it here against Yamanaka. So in her backyard again. So I just feel like Samir Yamanaka, as a young lad, even though her friend Iri Matsuda did get a close performance, considering how she lost even after going into the 9th round. Yet again, I can't say much about it, but you can say to yourself that something crazy could happen while the time is up. But April the 5th will take place, guys, in the MBS Arena. So we do like to see what will happen when time goes on. That show is going to be the SCS Box Gala event. And for all promoters being there and live from Germany, MDR TV and streaming service. They also have WBO U Super Welterweight and WBO European Light Heavyweight titles and other fights there, but nothing much. It's only going to be the Undisputed fight people will talk about. So I am going to be anxious to look at that fight next month, and we'll see what happens when time goes on. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see you viewers next week for another show as for the Gloat podcast. But until then, guys, we're going to have to say time's up. Thank you for watching this episode. We're going to have to see what happens probably after this month is over, but we'll see what happens. And good luck, Gervonta Davis.